Good morning, everyone. We're here from Rogers Place in Ice District in beautiful Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is now also in the heart of the NHL bubble. Thank you for attending our media availability today. My name's Tim Shipton. I'll be your moderator. Certainly has been a team effort and a collaboration amongst the groups represented on the call today to get to this point and ensure that as we move forward on the NHL hub opportunity, we're doing it as safely as possible. So very excited to share some further details today. We have a full roster of speakers, so without further ado, we're going to begin. We're going to hear from our speakers first, and then the media will have opportunities to ask questions. As a reminder to our members of the media, if you wish to ask a question, you can make a request by activating participants on Zoom and clicking raise hand. That's the process for this availability. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce the Commissioner of the National Hockey League, Mr. Gary Bettman.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you all for joining us today as we embark on an incredible journey to complete the 1920 season and ultimately crown a Stanley Cup champion. These are the most unusual circumstances. The notion of creating hubs so that we could have a tournament with a play-in round and then 4 regular rounds, best of 7 to crown a champion is something that I don't think anybody's ever embarked on before. And to do it in an environment where the most important thing for us to focus on was the health and safety of the players, of all of the other personnel that are involved in putting on the games, and as importantly, the community in which we would be playing. Those have always been the paramount issues. And I would be terribly remiss if I didn't thank the province of Alberta and the city of Edmonton for hosting us. This is an extraordinary endeavor that has required cooperation at all levels, both internally with us and the Players Association, our medical people, and from the governmental levels. So Premier Kenney, Mayor Iveson, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will say every conversation we've had with you over the last 2 to 3 months, I remember my first conversation with Premier Kenney. You made an incredible number of promises and fulfilled all of them, including good weather, except the other night. And you gave us lots of good reasons, as has the mayor, for us planting ourselves in Edmonton to accomplish this extraordinary feat. And so on behalf of the entire NHL family, all of our fans, we cannot thank the province, the city, and both of you enough. Also, I have to thank the Oilers, the organization that Bob Nicholson has been choreographing, and it starts at the top with Daryl Cates. Daryl probably lobbied me harder than any other owner who was interested in hosting a hub. And that is not an exaggeration, because there were multiple emails, multiple texts, and multiple phone calls every single day until we announced we were coming to Edmonton. And you know what? The best thing I can say is he was right, because with everything that's been going on in North America, he said, this is a place where not only we have the infrastructure with the great arena, not only is this a city that will do everything, in a province that will do everything that needs to be done to make this event a success, this is a place where you'll be safe. And when you look at what's going on in North America, kudos to the health authorities and government at all levels in terms of what you've been able to accomplish. So we're looking very much forward to what's going to transpire as we have our team start arriving on Sunday. You know, we have about 75 NHL personnel on the ground in Edmonton from the league office, working incredible hours, and I'm grateful to them. and Steve Meyer, the mayor, who orchestrates everything that they do. And there are hundreds of other personnel that are working to make this a reality. So on behalf of the NHL, thank you, and we're looking forward to a great playoffs.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Next up, we're going to hear from Oilers Entertainment Group Chairman Bob Nicholson. Unmute.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tim. First of all, to you, Tim, you know, you've done an outstanding job coordinating everything from the media back to the province, to the city, to the National Hockey League. And I'd just like to, first of all, start off to you, Commissioner Bettman, and to the Players Association. Congratulations on a new collective bargaining agreement. You know, we're going through a very interesting and tough time. But when we look at the future here, the future will be very bright because of that new agreement. And it's great for hockey fans around the world and great for hockey fans here in the oil country. So thank you for that. I know there is a lot of work going on with everything else, but that's so good for the game. Edmonton, one of two host cities. This is such a special moment for the OEG, for Daryl Cates and our whole organization. Not only are we going to be one of the hub cities, we get to see the Stanley Cup being presented. And as we've chatted, Commissioner Bettman, that is the goal, to make sure that the Stanley Cup is presented. And this is a once in a lifetime. It better be once in a lifetime. We don't want to be going through this again, you know, as we do it. You've already talked about it, Commissioner. Right from day one, you talked about the hub cities have to be safe for the players and staff. You went through a long process, but I can tell you that Tom Anselmi, our whole staff, when we heard those words, we really put our bid together around that. And we have the JW Marriott, we have the Ice District, and we have the best arena in the world. And Mayor Iveson, when you look at all of that and you look at the city, you know, we really felt confident we'd be able to host this. And thanks again for allowing us this great opportunity. To Steve Meyer and Stu Ballantyne, who are going to speak in a couple moments, thank you guys. Thank your whole staff. I know the hours that you're working is unbelievable, but you're starting to see it come together. You know, every day you look outside, you look inside the arena, and we can't say enough from Daryl Cates, myself, Tom, all the work that you're doing. But in a hockey game, you have a first star. And you know what, to the Premier of Alberta, Jason Kenney, you are that star. I truly mean that. What you've been able to do, and remember having the first conversation with you, and you said, Tim, Bob, yeah, I'd love to do this, but I got to make sure that the Albertans are taken care of first and foremost. You've done that. I feel very confident that what you've done for the citizens of Alberta has been tremendous. And now you've been able to put us in a position to have a hub city, to have a bubble that our players, staff will be able to go into. So thanks to you, your cabinet ministers, your staff, with cooperation of Mayor Iveson, we're excited. We're excited to get going. Our team is excited. So thank you, Tim. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Bob. Next up, we'll hear from Premier Jason Kenney. Premier.
Thanks very much, Tim, Bob, and Commissioner Bettman. Thanks to the league for making the right call and bringing the Stanley Cup back to Alberta, back to Edmonton. Really, in so many ways, the beating heart of hockey here on the Canadian prairies. This is Albertans need a morale boost. We've been hit by the triple whammy of obviously COVID, but also the global recession, and on top of that, for Oil Town Edmonton, being hit by the biggest collapse in energy prices in history. And we needed this kind of a thing to signal what a fantastic community we have. I want to thank Albertans for making this possible, because it's through their personal responsibility over the past 4 months, the responsible exercise of freedom that we've been able to flatten the curve and have one of the best public health records in the Western world when it comes to this pandemic. Congratulations to the Oilers organization for having had the vision, right from Daryl to all of the staff, the whole team, to have worked so hard in putting together a credible, detailed plan. They've been great partners to work with. I also want to thank our Chief Medical Officer for Health, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, and her team, together with everyone in Alberta Health and Health Services who have worked on this, for applying, I would say, just common sense. One of the things that's been, I think, a little unique about Alberta's approach to COVID is we have taken a common sense approach, not a blinkered or rigid approach. We've always prioritized the public health imperative and keeping people safe, but applying it in a way that makes sense. In this case, it took a lot of common sense and creativity to construct the whole policy around the quarantine zone, the ice district bubble. And it's now clear, I say to the mayor and the Oilers organization, that the whole ice district was almost like planned for this sort of a scenario. Could not be better infrastructure to host a situation like this. So a great deal of credit to go all around, but I think the most important credit goes to Albertans, and more specifically Edmontonians, for having had the lowest number of COVID cases of any NHL city in the league. I know that there is rightful concern about a small recent increase in new cases. I just want to remind folks that while people have got to not imagine that COVID's behind us, we still have a challenge, and that's why the playoffs are going to scrupulously comply with our public health orders and guidelines. But ultimately, I want to remind people that the current number of active cases is a tiny fraction of the best case scenario that we had projected in our modeling back in April. And we're going to get on top of this. We have had throughout this the highest per capita level of testing in North America, if not the world. And I want to thank all of our health professionals and frontline healthcare workers for their remarkable efforts over the past 4 months. This is more than just a morale boost. It's also going to be, I think, a meaningful boost to the economy of Edmonton. We estimate, for example, that according to our Department of Economic Trade and Tourism, this is going to create between 1,500 and 1,900 jobs, and between $48 and $69 million in business sales, several million dollars in tax revenues, $40 million in additional provincial GDP. So at a time like this, that is all important. And finally, I think it's going to be a great opportunity to highlight Alberta's success and Edmonton as the capital of hockey for millions of viewers, tens of millions of viewers all around the world, doing a great thing to reinforce the strength of Alberta's brand. And just want to once again say thanks to the Oilers organization, NHL, the City of Edmonton, and everybody who's brought us to this point. Thank you very much on behalf of Albertans.
Thank you, Premier. Winning the award for Best Dressed at this media availability. Next up is Edmonton Mayor Don Iveson.
Well, thanks, Tim, and thanks everyone on the call for your efforts to make today and the next couple of months possible, not just for Edmontonians who are looking forward to this, but hockey fans around the continent, around the world, who will now have their gaze trained on our city and, of course, Toronto. But certainly it's an opportunity for Canada to claim a victory here for our nation's overall response to this crisis, and certainly for Edmonton, and particularly, as the Premier said, the performance of Edmontonians with respect to keeping our statistics in a good place with respect to COVID-19. So a big welcome to players and families and staff of the NHL teams that'll be here for the coming weeks. We look forward to hosting you safely, and we look forward to the opportunity to see you perform at your very best in a safe way that will, of course, also have a positive economic impact for the city. Now, sadly, the way the city's taxes work, we won't actually see any of that directly, but for the hotels in particular, who have been able to staff up because of this. It will help them pay their property tax bill, some of which goes into the community revitalization levy, which is how we paid for this magnificent arena, which is part of what helped earn us this honor. And so notwithstanding that the city won't see a direct uplift just because of the way things are structured, our community certainly will. And that's a very good thing from an employment point of view and from an economic stimulus point of view. And so we're grateful to everybody for making this possible for us here, certainly because the virus has caused cancellation of many of our signature festivals here in the city. Having the opportunity to be a hub city will be a boost to civic pride and an opportunity for people here and elsewhere, but particularly Edmontonians, to safely be entertained in a different way this summer. And so it'll give staycationers, of which there are many, some more entertainment options in our city. And we recognize there may be some guests coming into our city, and we really do ask and encourage and frankly require that you be as safe in your conduct as Edmontonians have been. That said, provided you observe all of the rules as they evolve with respect to public hygiene, we look forward to the opportunity to receive the boost to our city's economy. Really, I think that it's important that we recognize that this really was a team effort. I thank the Premier and officials at the province, as well as officials at the federal government, and who worked very, very hard to make this work from a health and safety perspective and from a border perspective during these complex times. Really want to thank OEG for all of their effort over the years to build the kind of district in partnership with the city that would allow us to host what we hoped would be an NHL All-Star game, but we're going to get an NHL All-Star series. And of course, Commissioner, we'd love to host the All-Star game again one of these years when we're able to. But really, OEG has done a tremendous job. And I also want to thank city staff, particularly our acting city manager, Adam Laughlin, and his team, right down to the folks who are making ice at Terwilliger Rec Center right now to be able to safely host part of the bubble there. And it's going to be a chance to showcase our city, some of those signature recreation facilities, the ice district itself, and even just those skyline shots of our city in the summertime are magnificent. So that's going to be a great boost for Edmonton as well. Finally, though, the biggest thanks of all is due to Edmontonians for our penalty-killing stats when it comes to COVID-19. We've kept the virus on its heels here, and we need to keep it that way. So play safe all summer long, and we want Edmontonians and our city to be in the headlines for hockey this summer and not for the virus. So let's keep it up. Go Oilers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from Steve Mayer in the heart of Rogers Place, I see.
Yes, Rogers Place is behind me, and as you can see, it's taking shape for what will be our first games next week. And I'd also like to send my thanks to the Premier, to the Mayor, and to the Oilers Entertainment Group. Edmonton is now my home. I'm in day 10 of being an Edmontonian, on my way to day 85. And I love this place, and everybody has been so hospitable to not only me, but our entire staff. We now have 75 NHL staffers here, and we are creating the bubble. And the most important thing that we are creating is a safe and secure environment. And not only for our staff and everybody inside our players, which includes all the NHL teams that will arrive, as the commissioner said, on Sunday, but for all the people that are outside the bubble as well. That's really important. And that's our number one priority. And yes, we want to get to that lifting of the Stanley Cup, and we will. But, you know, creating all right, Mayor. Yeah, go Oilers. See, I'm even becoming an Oilers fan. But we are putting this bubble together one by one. And I will say this, to turn the lights on and to be able to activate things that have been shut down for quite a long time, it takes an incredible effort. Stu Ballantyne, who you're going to hear from, and his team are just incredible for us to work with. We have hired and are using so many people from this local community They're so good at what they do. We would not be able to do what we've been able to accomplish in 3 short weeks unless we have people who are so skilled at their jobs and have been able to take personal responsibility, come into our world, be tested every single day, and do the jobs that are necessary to create this environment, from restaurants to outdoor activities to taking this incredible arena. And I mean, one of the very best in not only the NHL, but all of sports, and to use every nook and cranny that we've got in this arena to activate team lounges and restaurants and all the things that are necessary to make this a great experience for our players. It really takes some incredible work, and we just can't thank the group at Oilers Entertainment Group enough. So again, happy to call Edmonton my home, and thank you for hosting us, and thank you for having us. We really appreciate being here.
Thank you very much, Steve. Last but certainly not least, someone who has been the main liaison to the National Hockey League and also the main lead on dealing with that small natural disaster, I want to call it, last week, and ensuring that our building was functional. Somebody's done a fantastic job. My colleague, Stu Ballantyne.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, everybody. It has been an incredible ride so far, and we know we've got, another 80 days to get through to award the Stanley Cup. To have to, build an event like this, once in a lifetime event with no history, and working with the NHL is absolutely incredible. We've had to put both feet on the gas to get it done, and every day seems to be progressing at such a rapid pace that the staff on all accounts have done just such an amazing job. The setback last Thursday night certainly put another wrinkle in how we were going to prepare, and we lost a lot of systems offline for quite some time, but everything is back up and running, and we're very pleased with the work that has had to be done to recover from the flood and get everything operational so that we can host games as early as Tuesday next week. I can't say enough what the staff have done on all accounts to be able to pull this off. Is just incredible. We're building ice today, so the ice sheet will be ready. The building is getting ready. We're putting stuff away. We have literally morphed every single space in this arena into something different, and that for the staff was challenging, but we've got it done. And to get the building back up and operational after basically 3 months of shutdown has been another chore for us. But ultimately, we're looking forward to hosting the hub city, and we can't wait to see players get out there and start to skate.
Thank you very much, Stu. Thanks, everyone, for your opening comments. At this time, we're going to open it up for a question and answer. As a reminder, please use the raise hand function, and we will unmute your mic. So first off, I see from Post Media, Terry Jones. Terry, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, for Gary Bettman. Gary, it's a really big picture question. For starters, if you go into next week with the virus numbers being what they are right now, or holding as low as they are right now, combined with the incredible detail of the whole plan you put together, and the Steve's game presentation, do you have the sense that the National Hockey League has a chance to be the leaders of the entire sports world that's returning to play right now? And as an addendum to that, you have an interesting history with Edmonton. In many ways, you kept this team alive when they went through the 28 owner phase. You remember taking a trip with you to New York with the mayor and Daryl Cates to put the arena back on track. And now you're here in this situation with this arena and this whole deal. I just want your whole big picture evaluation of everything.
Go. Now I'm unmuted. Terry, thank you for the question. When you ask me a big question, a big picture question, I have a tendency to ramble, so I apologize. Our goal is not to be perceived, by whomever is the leaders. We're doing what we think are the right things at the right time under extraordinary circumstances. We have been at this since March 12th when we took a pause at the season. We always had a vision as to what we needed to do for the game, the business of the game, our fans, our business partners, and the communities that we play in. And whether it was the return to play plan, whether it was the protocols, whether it was changing the critical date calendar, or whether or not it was the extension of the collective bargaining agreement, we always had a vision as to where we had to go, and we've had extraordinary cooperation, particularly from the players and the Players Association. We watched what everybody else was doing, but we moved at our own pace, at our own time. I know there were a lot of people questioning why we waited so long to select the hub cities. We had 10 incredible presentations as to where we should go and why. But ultimately, I wanted to use the data and have the ability in real time to make the best possible decision for the health and well-being of everybody, including where we were playing. So we are at an interesting moment in time, an interesting juncture, because there's been a lot of planning. We've had to keep ourselves flexible and agile and prepare for lots of eventualities. But now we're in a place where we think we've made a terrific decision, thanks to everybody on this call. And we have an opportunity. The players have been extraordinarily professional and responsive in terms of what we've asked them to do, in terms of keeping themselves safe and healthy. Last week, I think we tested 800 players with 2,500 tests, and there were 2 positives. I'd like none, but 2 is incredible. And our belief is, with everything we're doing, once we get into the hub and everybody's being tested every day and everybody's socially distancing and adhering to the protocols, that we have, listen, nothing's risk-free, but we're going to have as good an opportunity as anybody to ultimately crown the Stanley Cup champion. And that's what this has been all about, because everybody, particularly and including our fans, have been telling us they want to see us conclude the 1920 season. So it's been a lot of work, but the journey has really not ended. It's really just begun as we arrive in Edmonton and Toronto. So we're happy to be coming to Edmonton because we think all of the critical factors have come into play. And actually, as you were asking your question, I was thinking about the numerous sessions I had with Mayor Mandel and Daryl Cates to get this magnificent arena built. If you would have asked me then, would we be there today? The answer would have been no, for 100 reasons, not just anticipating COVID-19. So this is, if we can get to the end of the road that we've envisioned and mapped out here, this will be a great success story and a testament to a made in Alberta solution.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up, we have Daniel Nugent-Bowman. Daniel, go ahead.
Hi, gentlemen. Thank you very much. This question is for Stu Ballantyne, and Bob Nicholson might want to chime in as well. I'm just wondering if you could please expand on, the complications and what's happened with the damage after the storm last week, and will that affect any activities for the players or testing, which I believe is supposed to take place in that area?
Yeah, Bob, I'll take this. Certainly, we had a lot of water enter the facility. We had a couple failures of some rainwater pipes, and that's never fun to have that level of water come into the building. We've had to remove drywall and dry out the facility, which we did over the course of last weekend, and also get all of our electronic equipment and the building ready to go for the NHL. We're very pleased that we are now up and running. We will have unfinished drywall in the building in certain areas as we host the hub city, but with a building with not hosting fans, they're kind of bruises and a little bit of badges of honor, to be honest, with what we've had to accomplish since last Thursday.
A slight anecdote to that. So, you know, there are points in your life where there are things that happen that are so memorable, you'll always remember them vividly and where you were. And so Thursday night, I get a call from Steve Mayer. It must have been about 9 o'clock Eastern time. He was in the arena in the concourse overlooking the flood and FaceTiming me and saying, "Look at all this water. Can you believe this?" And in the list of things that I knew had to be accomplished, it was incomprehensible to me that we could be looking at this scene, this natural almost disaster play out in real time. And it's really a testament to OEG and to you, Stu, and your crew that we're up and running, because that was a frightening mess. And I was watching the water pour in courtesy of our iPhones. So, you know, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, Dan Gramet. Dan, go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my question, guys. It just relates to non-hockey personnel and Edmontonians, particularly those who would work in the bubble, you know, the cleaners, the cooks, the servers. I was just wondering, and maybe this is for Stu, like how many of those staff members are actively living in the bubble with the players and hockey teams? And for those who are not, how do they go safely in and out of the bubble? And also a second part to that question, what would happen if it was discovered that an unauthorized person somehow gained access to the secure zone?
Well, first of all staff are being tested. Not all the staff are living in the bubble. So we do have protocols for those that are coming in and out. We wear masks. We're tested every day. We have health checks every single day. And the distancing from the players, the team personnel, and the NHL personnel are put in place so that the interactions are minimal. And we understand that we still have to operate an arena, but we also have to make sure that people can go home and behave. And so our staff have been incredible, whether it's our Aramark staff handling the food, our Scandinavian Building Services people that are doing the cleaning, same with the hotels. Everybody is participating, and everybody understands the magnitude that it's going to take for us to get through Hub City, and we're committed to that. On the security side, there's a fairly heavy duty credential system, and our staff are quite alert and working very hard to make sure that we maintain the bubble and still allow for us not only to repair the arena, but also get set up. And once we get through this weekend and the players arrive, things will get even tighter.
Steve, why don't you talk about the degree of access within the bubble in terms of how we've set that out? And actually, before he does that, somebody sneaking into the bubble will not be welcome. And I say that in the most understated terms. And by the same token, we had an internal conference call with our teams, which we subsequently made public. We've made it clear we don't expect any of our personnel, and I don't believe it will happen, to try and sneak out of the bubble. So we think this is an impenetrable barrier from both sides. People who are in the bubble shouldn't be leaving it, and people who aren't in the bubble shouldn't be coming into it. But Steve should give a little more guidance as to how we're structured within the bubble.
Yes, so we also, and Stu mentioned this, the credentialing system is quite extensive, and it puts our folks that are inside the bubble in various groups, and then so the various groups then also have different entry points. Some on the event level, groups 4 and 5, for instance, are not able to even remotely get near the bubble. They're considered out of the bubble even if they're inside the arena. And we also have an app a clear, it's like a company clear, and that also has to be used to access any of our points in our hotels, in our restaurants, in the arena. There's 127 security personnel, health ambassadors who are manning every single entrance, every single exit. It would be quite impossible for somebody to penetrate this bubble. And within this arena environment, between what's in the bubble in the arena and what's outside the bubble, different entrance points, different elevators, escalators, never to be touched as one group that's inside the bubble will never have that access with those who are outside the bubble. And if there are workers that are inside the bubble coming and going, we, as Stu pointed out, have been schooled. It's personal responsibility for sure, but with all of these health ambassadors and security guards inside, face masks have to be used at all time where there's any personal contact, social distancing, and believe me, we've been like really enforcing it. I mean, you know, that is the instruction. If you see something, you got to go up there and get in some people's face. It is an acquired taste. You have to learn how to work in this protocol. But as I said, I've been here for 10 days, and now it's second nature. Now it's become really natural, and we are really going to be strict. And as the commissioner said, if anybody wants to decide to try to get out of the bubble, the penalties are extremely severe, and they're on the next planes home, and they're certainly not able to come back into the bubble. And I right now think, given the security protocol that we've put in place, that it's going to be very, very hard for someone to pull that off.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Next up, we have Travis McEwen. Travis, go ahead.
Good morning. Yeah, what can Edmontonians expect to see in terms of physical restrictions of the bubble and how it may affect them living and working downtown?
Steve? You gotta unmute Steve.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I could speak to it, and Stu, you should join in as well. You know, if they do come downtown, obviously we've put fences up, physical fences, from the Sutton Hotel, the Delta Hotel, Delta Suites, JW Marriott, and to Rogers Arena. Within those perimeters, we've given access, and it's been really well thought out, for those who are outside the bubble, working downtown, trying to live downtown, to have access around our fenced-in areas. And great compliments to the Edmonton Police Department and all of those from the mayor's office that have given us, you know, the security and the personnel to be able to do what we need to do to protect our bubble, but also allow Edmontonians to freely be able to move and do their job and live downtown. Stu, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think we have to have a balance. We have to maintain the bubble, but we do have to allow people to circulate and get to work and to get home. It's not as open as it would normally be, but we also have a very strict scenario here that we want to be able to get to the end of this tournament safely, and we'll do that and make sure we respect the businesses, the neighbors, and the citizens of Edmonton. Mayor?
Thanks, Stu. And I should have mentioned in my earlier remarks how much I appreciate your team's efforts with the building and the water last week. That was pretty heroic. And so just hats off to you, for getting that turned around so quickly. Really well done. With respect to downtown, obviously the bubble, just like if you had the Olympics or a World Cup or something like that in your city, there'd be security provisions. There are now even more strict requirements because of COVID-19. And so that does involve some cordoning off. I had some initial concerns about some of the cordoning that was done, and I appreciate that OEG has worked with the city to make to restore some of the access where there were concerns from residents and businesses downtown, to sort of have a bit of a checkpoint opportunity to cross some of the areas that were blocked off. And so I think that will continue to evolve. We appreciate the public's feedback on that. We'll work very closely with OEG and the NHL to make sure that workers stay safe who are inside the bubble, that players and their families stay safe who are inside the bubble, and that Edmontonians are able to stay safe and not be forced to kind of cluster. Because this is the biggest risk here that we have to work together to manage, is that people don't come and cluster at the fences and break down the physical distancing that has been so successful at keeping our infection numbers down. So we want people to come downtown. We want people to be able to enjoy the great food and beverage and hospitality scene, enjoy the spaces in the river valley, but all while maintaining that distance and respecting the health and safety of everyone in our city, including folks within the NHL bubble. So we're going to have to continue to work together on that, and we'll also have strict expectations about the fan zone. And, I anticipate a lot of celebrating, but that's going to have to be done in a different way. And we all want to hug each other after a great power play goal, but, you got to keep that in your cohort. So again, we've all got to observe some different rules here to keep everyone safe. But again, doing so scrupulously up to this point is what earned us this opportunity.
Thank you. Next up, we have Reed Wilkins. Reed, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Tim, and thanks to everybody for being available. My question is for Steve. Steve, in the video I watched last night, I found that really interesting when you were talking about team-specific goal songs, goal horns, replicated chants, and I think people are really interested about what they're going to be consuming on television and that vibe they're going to get from the games. When it comes to that kind of stuff, will it all be home team specific, where the team designated as the home team will be the only ones getting all that kind of stuff? And who's going to decide when a "Let's Go Oilers" chant or whatever it might be pumped into the arena?
So a few parts of your question. I'll try to do my best to answer them one by one. So we've reached out now we've made public to each of the teams that are participating in our tournament, and we've had incredible cooperation. They've shared with us their pump-up videos, their goal horns, their goal songs, and things that would be traditional in their arena. When it is their home game, we will lean towards, and I'm saying it, lean towards their traditions and those sounds, those chants, those goal songs. I think the only thing that we might add is if there is a goal for an away team, based on the energy in the arena, we may be adding, and these are things that we're going to experiment with once the teams get here, goal songs for other teams. So that'll feel a little neutral, but when it comes to their fans participating, we are going to take into account, which team is the home team. But the energy is really important for us. Obviously, without the fans being in the building, how do you generate that energy? And we think we have some really creative and some clever ways to do that. And the teams have been super cooperative in giving us and getting us all this great video. But again, I think as we've been talking about, and now that we've revealed some of our plans in terms of game presentation, all of that will evolve as the tournament goes on. As far as who's making those decisions, we have the greatest game presentation team that works with the league. We're also working very, very closely with the broadcasters, both with Sportsnet, who will be doing the world broadcast here in Edmonton, and NBC is doing the world broadcast in Toronto. They will also be, of course, a part of the decision-making process. Everything that comes to life in the arena needs to be seen on television. We're not doing it for fans. So there is going to be a coordinated television effort, and those decisions will be made on the fly to generate energy and to make these games really impressive for our fans at home.
Thank you, Steve. We've got time for a few more. Next up is Terry Jones with his second question. Terry, go ahead.
Yeah, Steve, well, we got you there. The that amazing end of the rink to the other end of the rink stage or set or whatever you want to call it, that we got a glimpse of the stuff you've just been talking about. What would you say to somebody? And I wouldn't mind if Gary chirped in after we're finished here, but what would you say to somebody, particularly a Canadian, who would say, "Is this too much?" I mean, the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Stanley Cup is the show, the whole show, but nothing but the show. How would you react to that?
How would I react to that? This is the show, and listen, when the puck is dropped, you're going to see what is the greatest game in the world being played, and the cup, competing for the cup is what it's all about. All we're doing is creating an environment that we think is visually exciting. We're not going to take away from the game. If you noticed, a lot of our LED screens and graphic design, it's away from the ice. And, I would just say that, our number one consideration is, what that ice looks like and how that game is played and how it's presented on television. What we're hoping to do is, between whistles, entertain and visually excite before the game begins, during intermissions. We hope to educate our fans. Some of the things that you'll see that'll be in the screens will actually be statistical based, informational based. We're hoping to, show off our star players and just some of the incredible shots that we believe we're going to get from the ice. But in the end of the day, it's all about the hockey. We realize that, and it's all about what takes place on that ice. And, we are just setting a wonderful scene for what is the greatest championship run in all of sports.
And just to elaborate slightly, is one of the things we pride ourselves on as a game and as a league is the authenticity and the history and tradition, which is why Steve and his people have reached out to all of the clubs to get their crowd chants, to get their goal horn sound, their goal chants. And so we're trying to incorporate the traditional, authentic things that each team does in its buildings into a neutral site, bearing in mind that having no fans in the building isn't something that anybody's used to. And so to simply say, well, we're just going to leave the stands empty and play the game, I don't think that's fair to our fans. I don't think that's fair to our players, and it doesn't set the right scene. So we're taking an extraordinarily unique, hopefully one-time unique to this point situation, and make the best of it and make it something that everybody can have fun with, because at the end of the day, entertaining and being fun and having a great competition is what it's all about. So in a unique, extraordinarily unique situation, we're trying to adhere to the traditions and authenticity to the extent we can.
Thank you. Next question goes to Patrick Henry. Patrick, go ahead.
Regarding the restaurants, golf course, bar, or other venue included in the bubble, will they be the same from day 1 to day 72, or there will be a rotation? And will you release the list of the restaurants included in the bubble?
I mean, I could start and Bob join in here, but yeah, we're obviously starting with a substantial amount of the restaurants open. We are activating from day 1, yes, from the time that the players walk in the bubble. But this, like our set design, our television product, all of the above will evolve, and menus will change. We're hoping to, be flexible where we can. We also have put together a concierge program where not only will we have options inside the bubble, but also outside the bubble. Amazing cooperation with Edmonton restaurants and chefs who have all raised their hand and said that they'd be willing to participate, whether it's a pop-up restaurant inside, creating meals or menus inside the bubble, or having access to their great food outside the bubble with delivery service inside. So these are the kind of things that, you know, I do believe will evolve. We're here for a very long time. And there's so many amazing, great options here, so that we're giving our players those amazing options as well. Bob?
Yeah, Steve, I think one of the key things right from the very start of this process, you know, we reached out to players, not just the Oilers players, other players, to get their feedback on restaurants in Edmonton, the type of food that they want. You know, we've tested some of that. We've seen the menus, and it's going to evolve. You know, what the menu is on day one is certainly going to be different than the menu in the second week. And, you know, we have had so many restaurants inquire about how they could get involved. But as Gary said right from the start, everything's about the safety of the players, how we do that. We'll look at all of it. And it's going to be important that the players get the food that they want. You know, they're used to looking after the nutrition and in their preparation for play. So it's there, but it's going to evolve. You know, the golf has been out there. It's certainly not going to be something we're going to do right at the start. We'll see where this all goes. And hopefully down the road, Steve, I don't know when that date would be, but maybe we'd be able to get them out in a very secure way. But it certainly won't happen the first series or two.
Thank you. We have time for two more questions. I'm going to go to Travis McEwen next. Travis, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on why the plan for the beer garden was scrapped, if that was either AHS approval or any permitting, and also is there any kind of plan for fan zone or anything for local fans to be engaged safely?
I can start off with that, and then I'll flip it to Stu. You know, there was a lot of information that got out there that, you know, those were just internal discussions. Everyone jumped over that quickly. We're still looking at that. We got to work with the health authorities in the province. We have to make sure the city's on board. We want to make sure that we have it ready. And I know, Stu, you're minute to minute in some of this, so you might have more than that, but information got way out ahead of even our planning process inside OEG. So we'll look at it, but certainly have a lot more homework to do on it before we go ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple things. You know, first of all, health protocols are of the utmost concern. We want to make sure that if fans are going to celebrate, that we're doing it in a responsible manner. And the other one is economics, and we continue to work through that. We have plans, and we had to set plans coming into this in case we wanted to have a fan zone, and we'll continue to work towards that. And if we can get it aligned with health and civic authorities and the AGLC, our liquor control, we'll make sure that we'll do it in a responsible manner, or we won't do it at all.
Okay, with that, we're going to conclude this media availability. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us. It's a very exciting time. I think you've heard the importance of health and safety. That is the thread or the pillar of the efforts here. I would open it to the floor to any of our speakers for final comments.
We're grateful for all of the support that we've gotten. Thank you again, Premier Kenney, Mayor Iveson, Bob Nicholson, Daryl Cates, Stu, obviously Steve, who commands the best events group anywhere. And for everybody who's watching, listening, interested, we're looking forward to being in Edmonton, and we want everybody inside and outside the bubble to be safe, to stay healthy. And good luck to all of the teams participating, although I know for this group, there's a focus on the team you want.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mayor, I think you...
Well, Commissioner, of course, you have to be nonpartisan, and I'm generally nonpartisan politically. contrary to popular belief, but certainly I have to cheer for the home team, and I'm excited to do that with my family and the safety of our own home. But Bob and Stu and Tim, if you need a button rigged up for my kids to push to turn on the "Let's Go Oilers" chant, we can talk. So, or maybe you can spread that around to some other families who wouldn't have the chance to do that kind of thing otherwise. Anyway, we'll host this in the Edmonton spirit. We'll keep everyone safe, and we'll look forward to allowing the Edmonton Oilers to complete their Stanley Cup run this year.
Well, you have your playoff beard going, so
I've had it going for a couple of years now.
You're starting early. Premier Kenney.
Thanks again to everyone, and we're looking forward to a Flames versus Oilers Western Conference final up there. We think it would be epic, and thanks again to everyone. I should have mentioned, and I want to single out Ariella Kimmel in my office, who's worked almost full time on this for the past 3 months, and she's been so impressed by the Oilers organization. She's actually gone from being a Senators fan to an Oilers fan. So you got one more fan rooting for you guys up there.
Oilers Flames, wouldn't that be something? Steve.
I just want to say what a showcase for Alberta and for Edmonton globally. 3 games a day, all day long. And all we could say to those who are on the ground here in Edmonton, working with the NHL, we just hope we make you proud, and that's our goal. And we're looking forward to it. 48 hours until our teams arrive on site, and we're ready. Although, Stu, we got a lot of work to do today.
We have a lot of work to do every day.
Exactly. Bring it on.
Yeah, just thank you to this whole panel, all the support, and to everybody's understanding. We didn't expect to be drying out last week, and we're through it. And, like I said, we're a little bruised, and we look forward to hosting and doing a great job for the NHL and doing our city and our province very proud and our country very proud.
Yeah, just lastly, Tim, Premier Kenney, I like that. All Alberta should be cheering for the Flames and the Oilers. That would be a great conference final. I just want to comment on one more thing. Tomorrow, Saturday at 1 o'clock, we have an inter-squad game with the Oilers. We had a tragedy with one of our players that happened with Colby Cave, and all the players are going to be wearing his number tomorrow. His wife's going to be at the game in a very secure place. But all Oilers fans, jump on it. We're going to stream that game. And to Emily and Colby's mom and dad, our thoughts are still with you. We're going to continue to keep Colby's name front and forefront with the Oilers, not just through this year, but for many years to come.
Thank you, Bob. That's a very appropriate way to finish. So thank you, everyone, for your attention. And that concludes the media availability. Thank you.